Hello everyone, this is BIGALSKIx,
And this is JTB.
and this is Chapter 13 of Ninja Gaiden 2004, our very hard commentary run. My good buddy JTB's here. Now, at the beginning of Chapter 13, JTB did something different on his video. After he fought Smoggin, he went back and saved before he finished the chapter. But I didn't do that. I beat Smoggin, so I come back here to save just in case the next Fiend Challenge goes wrong, forgetting that these guys spawn here with a timer. So I found that out the hard way. So I'm like, hey, at least I got some explosive arrows to shoot them. I can go down to low health because I'm going to need that in the next fight.
Yeah.
So if the thing is though, is if you mess this up, now you got to go back and fight Smoggin again because I didn't. So anyway, so after you fight Smoggin, it's a good thing to go save before finishing out the chapter. Then, of course, I didn't have time to do that because my timer was so low in the last chapter, or so high. I'm telling you.
It ran it pretty close, didn't it?
Yeah, so I wouldn't have had time to do that anyway. But I'm playing this so careful just because of the recovery frames are so much slower as he puts the sword back on his back.
Yep.
And
on all the heavy weapons. On all the heavy weapons, pretty much. All the UT animations on them are significantly longer to recover than they are in Black.
So I'm a little bit more cautious, so I get a little lucky. But look at all this awesome essence coming out. I should have looked to see how much I was getting.
I think that's 20 grand. I'm pretty sure they're 10k a piece, aren't they? Or 7k a piece?
Now there I go. At least. So,
well, I mean, you just got like 20,000, so you got
I
plenty
could have bought a
money.
rebirth, but that's just my luck to do something like that after all of that. But here, so I was able to save, and the way they wanted you to do it from the original was just kind of shoot them with arrows and then WT. But again, for speed, Nimpo's your best way to go.
Yeah, just using a zoom. I mean, and these guys are pretty decent at giving you Nimpo orbs.
And
I say that as you got like 4 from that one wave. See?
But being able to draw the essence towards you, that's something that's highly recommended that people learn how to do. I mean, sometimes I'll mess it up. Now, people may be wondering why I'm waiting so long, because I want to make sure a lot of the enemies spawn. You'll kind of hear a phantom hit. Watch the counter, like I'm at 53.
You saw it there, didn't you?
Yeah. And you'll see it here. Even though I can't see them, it's hitting them. It didn't do it there, but...
Yeah,
so
you also just want to keep an eye on your kills, because as you can see here, like you're getting 6 or 7 every single time. You don't want to light up Nimpo like back to back, because then you'll only kill like the next 2 or something. You want to make sure you're killing quite a lot every time you use it.
So there was another one of those phantom hitboxes. And plus the other part of that too, it lets the ones kind of fly up from the bottom. The last thing you want to do is kill 99 and the last guy's all the way down at the bottom and shoot an arrow or fall down and then shoot back up. So,
yeah, the worst is when you have to jump off to get him.
Yeah. Yeah. It'd be nice if you had the Sigma, or the NG2 bow, or was it NG3 where you could jump and shoot? Which one?
Oh yeah. Well, they put that in Sigma. That was the first game that had that. Yeah.
So
I do miss that. I've been playing Sigma quite a bit recently, and I do miss the in-air bow when you go back to Black. Like that in-air bow was a really cool addition.
So I got a little lucky with some of the spawns there, or some of the Nimpo coming back to me. But again, if you're going for score, how would you really just fight those guys? I mean, was the Chucks or the Dragon Sword, or I mean,
what, the Wasps?
Yeah. I mean, there's not really much of a challenge.
Yeah, I mean, they're a weird enemy, I suppose, because if you're careless and you're greedy, like they can actually kill you pretty quick if you're not paying attention. They do that, like they'll hit you, and then you'll go to move, and then another one will hit you, and then another one will hit you. They're kind of like a nerfed version of Ghostfish in that way. But if you know just kind of the basics on them, like they are very, very easy to take down.
Blasted that.
He tried to jump away.
So these fights in Ninja Gaiden Black wouldn't be a timed fight, but you'd want to fight them anyway to make up your kills. since you killed a lot of the timed fights in Chapter 12. Again, that's just for Ninja Gaiden Black.
Yeah, it makes it a lot easier on Black, especially once you go above normal, because they give you ghost fish. You know where those bats were after the wasps? You get ghost fish there. And that's a really nice way of having to make your kills. That's one thing that's really nice in Sigma. What are usually chapters 6 and 7, they give you those blue ghost things in Sigma.
Right, those wisps.
Yeah, like they replace the bats, but they actually count as kills, which is great, because it means you don't have to go back up top to farm kills in Chapter 6.
Now, I do want to say something. That whole little fight sequence right there looked a little wonky. And what happened is my TV turned off. And
that's helpful.
Well, yeah. And I don't know what it is. The way I have my Elgato set up, I have one of these smart TVs. Well, sometimes the smart TV is a little too smart for its own good. And it'll mess up, it'll turn off, it'll show that it's trying to detect the device. And that's what was going on. First it clicked off, and then it said trying to detect the device. So I was just kind of pushing buttons there, not really knowing what was going on. I was trying to hit the pause button. So as bad as all that looked, it actually didn't turn out too bad, considering I didn't know what I was doing there for a few seconds.
Yeah.
And then it just came back on, like it was nothing.
I guess you could have waited for the controller to vibrate and then counterattack.
Yeah.
That's probably that would have been my first thought, but yeah, that's weird TVs doing that, because I already mentioned that before. Like, one of the biggest hurdles in me recording PS3 stuff, like in decent quality, was actually getting a device that was able to do it. And funnily enough, like older TVs have like HDMI out. They're a lot more simple than like newer TVs, and it's kind of weird that the newer stuff makes it a bit more awkward to record shit nowadays.
Oh yeah, it's like they know I have to turn my TV on and turn the Elgato on and the capture and all that stuff in a certain way. If not, it'll block the signal. Mm-hmm. So I don't like that at all. But it's a 65-inch TV, so I need all the screen I can get.
Yeah, there was always a running joke back in the day for like NG stuff that people used to always include that warning, at the start of the game when the game boots up. Like, if you read that warning pretty carefully, strictly speaking, making videos of the game is like goes against that warning. You're not allowed to do it.
Right. Now, one of the things that I didn't find out until the end of this chapter, probably going through the chapter on a just to see what's going on would be, smart, instead of just playing it normal and then hoping the best at the end. Because, I don't like putting a lot of time into this. I hate to say that. So what's going to happen at the end is I fought all these extra fights, and then I run out of time at the end. And that's, when I say I run out of time, I run out of, making the end of chapter time limit. So it cost me a few points, but the good thing about it is my mistakes, can help other people's, not have the same mistakes or repeat what I did. So I'm going to show a couple different things at the end so people will understand, what to do, and like I always say, what not to do.
Yeah. Yeah, it's always good to have that stuff out there. You don't have to do the best run ever to, help people do the best run. Like,
right.
All you need is a blueprint, really. And really, realistically speaking, like all the best run on video does is show the next guy how to beat you. Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
right.
That's really all that really is. It's a tutorial for the person that follows you to beat your score or whatever.
I remember Ballbade said one time about his HP 1 run that he did before JTB came along. He says, all I did was watch what Bigalski did and learned what not to do and what to do when. So, and that's part of it. That's why we put videos out there, so people can, learn from them and get better. That's what we're trying to do.
Yeah, it's funny, the HP 1 stuff, because when I did my run last year, obviously I had like yours and Balbade's run, and it got to a point where like it was so much fun to just go into a chapter and think, okay, like what do I want to do? Like, how do I want to play this?
Right.
And then go back and look and think, oh, okay, like they did it this way, they did it that way. I think there's definitely something to be said for, try your own recipe first coin a pun. And then, you know, if you're thinking, I'm not really feeling this, you know, you can go and see what someone else did and think, oh yeah, of course, you know, that makes more sense, I'll do that.
Yeah. And, you know, the other part about that, too, is if you're watching everybody else's run without trying your own, you're kind of limiting your creativity, so to speak. And
oh, yeah, 100%, yeah.
Yeah, you get stuck in a certain way, and, you know, that hurt me a long time. I got stuck playing a certain way. I mean, that's just how I played, and, you know, it's hurt me later on in terms of, like, free-forming and doing all the cool, fun stuff that you can do.
Yeah. Well, even like looking at that through the like Karma Run lens, this fight coming up is a good example. When I first ran into Chapter 10 on HP1, I'm pretty sure in yours and Valbade's video, did you guys use the UF or the debiliter? It's one of the two.
I think we kind of UF'd everybody.
Yeah, and I remember looking at that time and thinking, like, man, there's got to be a quicker way of doing this. So I tried the debiliter a few different ways, and I thought, you know, it's in the back of my mind. I know there's a quicker way of doing this, but I can't figure it out. And then all of a sudden, it just hit me like, just Inazuma them. What are you doing? Like, just use Nimpo. And I thought, man, that's super cheap. And I was like, well, it is. Like, you know, you look at it, it's really cheap. Like, it's not hard to do, but when you're going for score, it's what gets you the most points, you know. And this just happens to be what gets you the most points. So,
well, also,
you might as well do it.
It is cheap, but your timing is still critical too.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You know, no, like I pause a split second so the ones who are coming down, they fall over dead. If I did that right off the bat, they would fall down and not be dead.
Yeah. Yeah, you do need to know your time. But like doing it this way versus using, for example, like the Debilero or the UF, you might be able to get kind of close to it because the scoring system in HP1 is so different. Those, like, you know, 10 seconds that you missed, those 10 seconds are worth so many points. It's just not, you know, that over the course of the game, as we always say, like, it's going to put you so far out rather than doing what is actually optimal. Even though what is optimal might not look cool, it's what gets the points.
Right. So this was the pattern I decided to do because I really wanted to go to Maramasa to buy a Great Devil Elixir. Because if I waited around, I burned through 2 Great Devil Elixirs in the Pill Bug Challenge before I finally started getting some Nimpo. The last thing you want to do is run out.
Yeah, I noticed you got a bit unlucky there.
Yeah.
If you were going to go for max, I'd probably just reset. Like, because what you need, 1 Nimpo kills 6 of them, doesn't it? So a full stock is 30 kills. So you only need to get like 2 and a bit refills of Nimpo orbs, and with Armlet of Fortune, like that's pretty realistic to get.
Right.
So you could just do it with nothing but refills.
Now, because of my pattern and what happens at the end, I will say, oh, this is where I UT all the bats. The sound is funny. We can't hear it, but it's funny. It's just like thud. I mean, it just thuds.
Those bats got messed up.
So I recommend, I do this fight obviously because you have to go this way. But see, I was really surprised. Usually I try to wait as long as I can, thinking that they're going to run underneath it.
Yeah, they usually do. I thought he'd survive that for a minute. I thought, I was like, whoa, what? Like, they can't survive that UT.
But what I know now, look at my no roll jumping straight self. It sucks. I wouldn't have fought this. I would have skipped this fight in order to. And also, that's the bad part about getting on the... An on landing off the wall is almost just like an on landing like you're going to UT. Mm-hmm. You know, so they can grab you there. But I wouldn't have done this fight knowing what I know. I just didn't want to go back and refight everything and skip that. I do go on here to use it to get to low health. But again, like you said, I have my Katetsu. I should have had that on the whole time. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't go upstairs. But you could go upstairs and do the Monkstrom fight, and you could go down the elevator and kill all the fish. I actually did that one time just to see, but it was way no good.
I just thought the all the fights in Chapter 11 and that would respawn as well, wouldn't they? So you could do all those again.
Yeah.
Yeah. The score junkie in me really has half a mind to go back and try this because on the one hand, it'll be it would be a bit irritating to like get to the end of the chapter and not get a time bonus, but on the other hand, it would be great to play and not have to worry about your time and just take as long as you want doing everything.
Now, I tried to drag the essence from those guys, you know, at the save statue, but it never dragged.
I think if you guillotine throw one of them down the runway a little bit, you can chain it. But
I could have got off another forward Y before I UT'd that guy.
Yeah, but I mean, these guys, there's only 3 of them, and they're worth 1,000 points apiece, so, it's not like you're going to be losing a ton of points, these guys, really.
But look at all the damage they took, and I had to be at this low of health. If I was up a little bit higher, I wouldn't have been able to kill them as fast. Now, I think this is what I finally show what we're talking about. I don't want to be this low of health whenever I go into the Great Bridge Challenge. So I'm going to, put in an elixir and then equip the Kitetsu because it's draining my health. And then I can control where I want. I should have been doing this a long time ago, but it just now hit me. So
yeah, you can do this, but it's also worth mentioning, if you do the Kitetsu method, just make sure you don't do it from like a full health bar, because even though it does drain your health, it takes a long time to do it all the way from full. Like if you're like just a little bit out from low health, like it's good to do it then.
So
there's a save statue through that room on Sigma, and man, that thing is a lifesaver. That makes chapter 4 and chapter 8 just so much easier on Sigma, just because you have that save statue.
So here, this is I think these fight through town is worth doing, but I really think some of the earlier fights I could have skipped just because of kind of what happens at the end. And obviously we'll get there when we get a chance. Now I want to fight all these fights first. Maybe I shouldn't have, but I didn't want to have to refight them if I messed up in the Great Bridge Challenge and had to start over. Which is the lazy way, but it probably would have saved me 30 seconds or whatever, which would have helped me at the end of the chapter, 20 seconds or whatever.
I was going to say, how far over were you, like, at the end?
Well, whenever I went up, probably about 40 seconds.
Oh, so not by a lot, then?
I wasn't by that much. Well, we'll talk about it whenever we get there.
Yeah.
Because I actually had a couple stills and everything like that. But yeah, I could have gone through and redone the route, and that's just laziness on my part. I had such a good Awakened Alma fight that I just didn't want to mess with it again. Because I would have had to have duplicated that. So I did want to show this. It says if goes in without a scratch, he will be blessed with a treasure that will save his life. And I do this without getting hurt, but I still get a life of 1,000 gods. I always thought for some reason it was a rebirth. A life of 1,000 god is not going to save your life.
Well, I mean, depending on the attack, but yeah.
Well, I'm talking about like a rebirth. If you die, it's gonna. So that's how I took it. Now here again, one of the challenges back in the day, and I did the challenge, was to do this fight without using elixirs and doing it with the level 3 dragon sword. So, all that stuff was checked off a long time ago. Exploding arrows, I'm telling you, works very well on the crabs.
Yeah, I think it might have been Timmy Gun, I think, on his handicap run. He was struggling in chapter 10. That was his nunchuck only run for anyone that's not familiar with it. And it's original life bar, no Nimpo, and he was really struggling with the laser crabs, and I think he posted it in there. And I know both of us said, we've been saying this for 10 years, exploding arrows. They wreck laser crab fiends. And I mean, I guess it's something that people might not think to try. I guess, a bow and arrow against, a giant armed crab. Maybe not, but for whatever reason, they really are, really, really effective against them. This is one fight, actually, where I found, not having, proper 360 camera control really does make it a bit of pain. It's really annoying to get, lasered off screen by the crab, and you're he breaks your guard, or he does it just as you land for an on-landing, and then he kills you. Fortunately, there's not a lot of laser crabs in this fight, is there? Like, you run out pretty, like, you actually get through them pretty quick if you're able to keep your UT chain going. And they give you 2 essence swords when you kill them with a UT, so...
Right.
Like, as long as you can kill one or them, you're fine.
Yeah, that's the thing. Sometimes if you've... after you've done a UT and while he's putting it on his back, depending on the timing, the UF back on his back, that laser crab will set out another laser.
Yeah.
And it'll hit you, and there's nothing you can do. And that happened a couple times.
So here we are. Like, this is it. Like, you're at 60. When did you run out? Like 50 something? So, yeah. You don't have to get through many laser crab fiends. It's just that they're so much more aggressive in this game than they are in Black, and they just hit so hard. You really do have to be careful.
I probably could have counter-attacked a lot, and but at this point I was kind of, in a rhythm of just.
Yeah.
I
think I did counter. I can't remember, because I think counter-attacking these guys is actually faster. Like, you would get a better kill bonus, because the UF's UT is quite long.
Right. And the whole point is you're trying to kill 2 if you're going to do the UT. And if you're only killing 1 at a time, that's the reason I try to wait as long as I possibly can before I release the UT. But in terms of, where was I jumping and why was I jumping to a certain location, it's just try to jump away from the crab. You kind of get an idea of the timing of when they're going to come out. That's when I would release. So, I mean, it's not having the rotate camera like JTB said. It's kind of tough. But, again, you kind of get used to it. Yeah, see, I should have started counterattacking, because it doesn't matter even if I absorb any blues.
Yeah, not really. It's still cool.
Yeah.
And also, on this fight, thinking about it versus the other games, it's weird that they don't scale up at all, because it seems like you only get what, maybe 30 like laser crab fiends, if that, because you kill like a lot of these guys at the same time, whereas on, like, compare it to Black, you get ogres, berserkers, laser crab fiends, berserkers. They scale it up quite well, whereas in this, it's just they give you slightly more laser crab fiends, and that's it. Like, a good chunk of the challenge is just these, pink ones. They're super easy to kill.
Well, they're super easy to kill because I'm so awesome.
And they have, I just thought as well, they have no guard break in NGO4 either, so once you get rid of the laser crabs, like, if you want to play it super safe, just counterattack them to death.
Yeah. Like I said, I would have felt it was a rebirth. I remember Weeble and I talking about that. And back in the day, this was kind of hard. There wasn't a video out there of somebody going through this without getting hurt. It's either clipped or whatever. I mean, it was just interesting that, it was just, back then we didn't have the challenge runs exactly how we have them today. Again, I should have ran through all of this knowing what I know now at the end of the chapter. I mean, still, I got 1,500 points, but, I've got the Beetles at the end, and those were going to be way more than what these are, so.
Yeah, as you say, like, if you're going to go for the time limits, you really have to kind of weigh up the time you're spending versus the points it's getting you. If you're spending, like, 10, 15 seconds for 1,000 points, is that really worth spending those 10, 15 seconds?
Yeah. See, I think you skipped this fight in yours, but I figured I'm right here and I got the low health UF. So
yeah, I'm trying to remember what I ended. I ended on about 18 million on my run. I've really got half of mine to my 360 is still unpatched. So
oh yeah.
Yeah. Once all this Sigma stuff is done.
Well, on this right here, I could roll in and get this whole Blade of Meridian string off. I have my Nympho at level 3 to just try something, because hopefully look at all the damage. And I was trying to catch her right there to see if it would knock her down. I'm like, okay, but she starts to land, and it's like, well, hey, let me just. I mean,
thanks.
Yeah, if you're gonna do that, paddle that ass, bitch. But
it's such a shame they took that out. I mean, I get why they took it out, because it does make one of the, like, what is probably intended to be one of the hardest bosses in the game a joke. But man, it's fun to just slap her about with the UF.
So I waste time on this too. I'm like, oh, can you shoot? I wonder if you can shoot the door. No. I'm like, oh, now I gotta go back.
That's
I know.
Heavy weapon one.
Yeah. So I just wasn't thinking. So think of the time here, and then I thought, well, you know what? a lot of people don't always show this, so I'll just go and show this last Life of the, or Jewel of the Demon Seal, or whatever it's called.
Yeah, this is the Jewel of the Demon Seal.
Yeah, so I go down and do this. And it's like, okay, there's two things. You can light them either with your Nympho, or you can light them with exploding arrows. So I want to show this. Well, see, all of this is just wasting time. And I'm not thinking about it until I get right at the very end. So I don't even use this. I just wanted to show it for the video. You know, I should have went and saved, finished it out, and then just made a clip and put it in. I mean, that's just so bad. But
yeah, think about it. The Jewel of the Demon Seals they give you, like, realistically, you only ever need 2 or 3 at most.
Yeah.
Yet there's 6 in the game. Because Ice Storm's completely useless.
Though I did use it in Alma in Chapter 6. That was the first and only time I've ever really used that. And that was in Ninja Gaiden. It wasn't in Ninja Gaiden Black and on. So, these have 50 enemies. Kill them. You know, have your fortune on. UT if you want. I think I'm just trying to grab a little essence right here so I don't have to use any supplies, which again makes no sense because I've got a ton of money now.
Yeah, I was going to say you should have quite a bit of cash as well.
But see, what do you what's the limit on here? Or they come out what, 2 and 3 or something like that? If you're
it's tricky on these guys. They come out 2 and 3, but if you can catch them mid-spawn, you can trigger like another spawn to go. So then you might get 7 at a time, or you might get 8 at a time. And then if you can do that again, you'll get the next spawn. So like it's actually possible to get 10 to spawn at once, but it's really, really tricky to do. You are better off just kind of going 4 and 5 at a time, and then just keep it consistent. But yeah, you can get more spawn triggers active.
Yeah, so see, you don't want to end with like 47, because then you have to kill the next 3 before you would just have 3 of them come out.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's you don't want that to happen. So here I go and save, and now I think I show how to get the 2-timed beetle fight. Because you know, for the longest time, nobody even did this. But you need.
Yeah, I mean, unless you're playing for score, there's really no reason to, because it takes a lot longer.
Well, also in here, if you just went and pulled out one of the tablets, it's going to respawn the beetles again. So really, what you want to do is after you fight the first fight, pull it back out, fight those guys, because then that'll be worth 25,000 points plus the 5,000 kill bonus. Put it back in, then that's going to be worth however much that's going to be. So just those 3 fights alone in a matter of a couple minutes worth 3 or 4 of the fights that I fought earlier.
Yeah.
So see, now it's going to do this. But anyway, in Black, you wouldn't do that, because after you fought the timer the first time, if you pulled out the tablet, it wouldn't be a timed fight. So it really doesn't matter. But
in Black, that's kind of a big error, because then you're just having to waste time, you know, fighting these guys again, which you obviously don't want to do.
Right. The only time you would really need to do it is if you needed to make up kills, but again, there's other ways to make up kills that are not going to cost you so much time here at the end.
Yeah.
But I think, so this is showing the 2 fights, and then I think I go ahead and complete the chapter. Whereas if I had been a lot smarter about my time, I could have pulled out the tablet twice, and then put it back in, and then got a hell of a lot more points. And again, we're getting to the point where I'll show that here in a minute. But also, you want to have some time to where if you're running out of Nympho, to go back and buy some.
Yeah, because the nearest Muramasa is quite far away, actually, thinking about it.
Yeah. So here, I think whenever I put it in, this is going to end the chapter. But I always pick up the statue, to see it should show still in there. I always pick it up whenever I do the other fight. I didn't this time because I knew I wasn't going to use this as my final score. So this is me making the 100,000 kill bonus at the end. I forgot what the time. I think it's like 37 minutes, 38 minutes. And so if
it's 37.
Yeah, so
37.
If I had pulled out the tablet once and then put it back in, I was going over like 37:45. So there was no way I was going to make that, because once you pull the tablet out, you have to put it back in order to complete the chapter. So this is me going over the time limit, and see, I'd already picked up the chapter. So I'm going to fail the time bonus, but I ended up pulling out the tablets a couple times, so it's going to increase my score. So even though I went over the chapter time limit by 4 minutes and didn't make my clear time of the 100,000, I actually scored about 30,000 more points because of the beetle fights, the extra beetle fights I was able to do. I hope all that made sense, because trust me, this is really the only chapter you can do that. If you make a mistake, this is probably the only chapter you could actually get some more points on.
Yeah. If you're going for kind of the time limit first and foremost.
Yeah. So, having said that, I could have refought the whole chapter, probably played a little bit better, and would have been able to pull out the tablets a couple times and still make my 37-minute time limit. So, having said that, it's for the next guy, keep that in mind. Or if you're really going to go for score, you might as well just take them out until your timer runs to 0. Who cares about the end of chapter? That's up to people to decide. But I think that's it. I will say, though, I hate that some of Shinobier's old Awakened Alma videos are gone, because he had some really great Unlabored Flawlessness videos against Awakened Alma, just showing the power of what it could do. He could kill her in a whole string.
Yeah, and I just thought one thing people could do. How we talked about the unpatched system, and that's the difference. Like, if you can, the old 360s that have the hard drives,
right?
Just thinking, you could put NGO4 in that if it was backwards compatible, and then just take the hard drive out, and you'd actually be able to play it unpatched, indefinitely. So that's something people could look into if they want to play it. If they actually want to be able to play this,
or maybe they could clear the cache. Or whatever, clear the update, reset it back to, the standard specs, and then don't plug it into the internet.
Yeah, you could.
That's another way, too. There are options, but this is a fun way to play the game if you've never played it this way before. I will say that.
Yeah. Okay. It's a shame there's no kind of easy fix to get the Hurricane packs.
Right. Right. Yeah.
If there was, it'd be amazing.
But at least we're able to get all this on video, and it'll be out there for people to see and hopefully answer some questions. But that's it for Chapter 13, guys. Appreciate everybody watching, and we'll see you next time.
Take care, everybody.